Hello, everybody, and welcome to the world of Akala. This is Cold Hard Chats. This is the series where we talk about the latest episode of Globers and Goblins and pretty much anything I or anyone else wants to talk about. You'll have noticed that the channel name now has a bit at the end. It now says Globers and Goblins, and then in parentheses, World of Akala. You'll also have noticed right before my little pre-roll video, a new animated graphic for WOA, World of Akala. There's a reason for this. Anyone who watches that is in the Discord knows the Discord is called World of Akala. If you follow me, on Twitter, the Twitter name is World of Akala. Akala, also the name of the world that my campaigns take place in. Over the next few months, I am going to be rebranding the channel. Don't worry, Globers and Goblins is not going away. Don't worry. But I will going to be rebranding the channel itself from Globers and Goblins to World of Akala. There's a reason for that. I am going to be expanding the content that's going to be on the channel instead of just the one campaign where we poke fun at Flat Earth along with Play D&D. I know I say this a lot, but I'm going to be hopefully starting up my campaign diary soon. And I also want to get the Derp Squirrels campaign that we started up and running again, and I want to get that onto this channel. So there's going to be more than just the Globers and Goblins show that you all already know, love, and are used to. So I feel like the channel branding should reflect that. And since everything takes place into the world of Akala, and that's pretty much my D&D brand, I'm going to gradually change it to that. I've added my WOA logo to the channel banner, and you'll notice on the bottom right, you can see the little bug logo. That's what it's called. I don't know what YouTube calls it. The little bug logo is the WOA logo. Globers and Goblins isn't going away. Anything that is related to what we play, whether it's Ice Cold Freedom, whether it's going to be another campaign, whether it's the chat shows about it, it's going to have all of the Globers and Goblins, the look, the theme, everything. That's not going away. The merch is not going away. Globers and Goblins is still going to be the flagship show of World of Akala. That's what you guys came for. That's what the patrons are supporting. That's what Throw the Dwarf has been pushing for the last few months everywhere on YouTube. So that's not going away. I personally feel like the overall branding of the channel should match the content that's going to be on it going forward. And I think since it's going to be branching out beyond poking fun at Flat Earth, and we're going to have the Derp Squirrels campaign has people who aren't necessarily in the Flat Earth debunking community, I don't think it makes sense to keep everything as Globers. I hope that makes sense. And yes, like Illuminous Pooh said, lick the like button, please. Just not literally lick it with your finger or your mouse click if you're on the computer. I suppose you could turn your cursor into a tongue and then you could lick it, but I don't suggest literally licking it. Pancake of Destiny says, I liked it. It doesn't taste nice. No, it's not going to. Your phone is covered in germs, and your computer screen probably is too. Yeah, I wouldn't suggest licking that. But yeah, we got Robert Adset, Catnip Entertainment, Timo, Illuminous Pooh, and Pancake of Destiny in the chat. Thank you guys for joining. Illuminous Pooh says, I volunteer as tribute for any future games. Yes, you are one of the most eager people. You won't shut up about it, and I don't want you to shut up about it because I love that enthusiasm. And Timo says, expanding the content makes sense, and some of the inside jokes of G&G might not work so well with people outside of the community. My thought process, exactly. Not that I have a problem with those inside jokes. I mean, obviously, people love Globers and Goblins. I have fun. Everyone has fun. I'm not trying to say that I want to push that aside. I'm not doing that at all. I want to do more. Robert Adset says, too late, tastes like glass. Okie dokie then. So another thing that I wanted to do today, besides just what's wrong with my computer? Oh, I have that on the wrong screen. That's why I look funny. Let's see. Bear with me. I changed around my screen setup. Forgot that I did that. That should fix it. Maybe. Taskbar setting. There we go. Alright, that's what I want it to look like. Okay. I had my screens backwards. That was the problem. Okay. Now my computer's freezing on me. That's great. Okay. Let's try that again. There we go. I got the chat back. Sweet. Pancake of Destiny says, Globers and Flurfs, campaign where FTFE is in one team with Nathan Thompson. No. And a Luminous Poo. And of course, each player can do crossovers and one-shot guest stars kind of thing. Yeah, absolutely. So, in our next session, I'm going to need to play a video. I'm not telling anybody why. That is spoilers. I'm going to need to play a video, and I need the players to hear the video and the audience to hear the video. Now, I am not a streaming expert. I thought I could just stream it through the Discord call. But when I tried a test run with my home group, they were not getting audio. If you heard that beeping, I think that's my smoke alarm telling me that its battery is dying. If it keeps going off, I'm going to have to go get up and take the battery out of it. I got distracted by the beeping. Where was I? Robert said he heard it. Yeah, I might have to. Smoke alarm. Yeah, the battery's dying. Because it's not constantly going off, it's just doing that beeping. It did that a few minutes ago, too. I think the battery's dying in it. What the heck was I talking about? Oh, the video. But yeah, since I'm turn my audio down, I'm spiking. Since I'm still very inexperienced with this whole streaming thing. Yeah, I'm not a streaming expert. Thanks, Illuminous. But you have to point out the thing where I was saying I'm not an expert at something to remind me where I was. I can count on you for that. I did a test run with them, and yeah, they couldn't hear the audio. So I did some Googling and found that it should work. They have a setting where you can enable audio through streaming, and I have it turned on. So I'm going to just try to stream a video, and I need you guys to let me know if you hear it. Because if you hear it, the players are definitely going to hear it, because the audio to Streamlabs is the audio from anything that goes to my audio output, which right now, actually it's my wireless headphones. I need to change it to my speaker, which I'm going to do real quick. Because right now Discord is sending out to my speakers, so I need to pick up my speakers in Streamlabs. Right? That makes sense. Audio output capture. And your source. Yeah, normally I would just be using my headphones, but yeah, like I said in the chat at the start, I forgot to charge them, and they did. So, speakers. Okay, so I've got a new audio output source. I'm going to dial it down a little bit so it doesn't spike, because I know the video I'm playing will spike. Alright, so I have the output source in Streamlabs as anything going through my speakers, which these are plugged into my speakers, not my computer, so that's fine. So if I play video in the Discord call, I won't hear it because I'm streaming it, but I'll hear it because it's playing on my computer. So the audio from the video playing and the audio from the Discord call should go to my speakers. and be streamed. But if Discord's working properly, then it should just send the audio from the video to the people in the call. Right? That makes sense. I think that makes sense. So let me go ahead and share. Where is... I'm just going to use my chat outro. Okay. And this wouldn't work if I didn't have headphones in because it would echo like crazy. But this should work. I'm going to focus on that. I'm going to bring up VLC Media Player over here. All right, since I'm sharing the application, it actually cuts out the boundaries on the... That's pretty cool. Let's go to the beginning and just hit play. And I'm just going to see what happens. And I want you guys to let me know if you can hear audio, please. Okay, that was loud. I'm going to turn my speaker down. You should have heard that. I really hope you heard that. But I'm going to... Let me try that again. I'm going to look at Streamlabs and see if it's spiking. It's spiking in Streamlabs. Sweet. Okay. All right. You guys can hear it. Okay, you guys can hear it. Now, the only thing I need is somebody in this damn call to let me know if they can hear it. I don't have anybody with me today. Charisma was going to come, but something came up. That's really the only thing I need is somebody in the call tell me if they can hear it. So you guys hearing it makes perfect sense because it's just playing on my computer. Yeah, Timo, that would be amazing if you could jump in. I need to check to see if you still have the role. Let me go to group chat, GG. Yeah, you still have the role. You can jump right in. Hey!
Hello, hello.
Awesome, one of my favorite people. Okay, so you can see the video in the call, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I apologize if this is loud. Doesn't let me... Here, I'm going to bring the audio down in VLC. Okay. Let me know if you can hear this.
Yep. Nothing yet?
Okay, you couldn't hear that. What
No.
the heck? Why can I not send audio through Discord? I have the setting. I have it set. Go into... Maybe it's in server settings?
I cannot see the actual video you're sending. I can only see like the small icon of you that is on the stream on the left side. So I cannot actually see the video. So maybe I have to click something.
You see where it says I'm streaming. If you click on that, it should...
Oh, right. Yeah, now I saw the stream. Can you play the music again? Yeah, now I can hear it.
You can hear it?
Yes, yes. So I just have to click on the watching stream to get it to the different window. Then I can get it to sound.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. Yes, so this will work. I just have to make sure everybody opens it on next week. Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. And it doesn't have like the like all the UI stuff from VLC. It just has the video and it looks beautiful. Okay. So, okay, this is gonna be fun. Now I can't wait for next week. Now I can't wait for you guys to see the video. I'm really excited. Okay, so last week, Timo, you can hang if you want. I'm perfectly happy with that.
I can stay here and ask some questions later if I come up with something that I want to ask.
Sorry, Pancake of Destiny. I did warn that it might be loud. I apologize. Yeah, so last week, oh boy. Not last week, last session. because we didn't play last week. We played 3 weeks ago. It's been a while. That time flew. I don't know how that time went by so fast. Usually time drags for me. But yeah. What did you think of what did you think of that? What did you think of that session, Timo?
Well, let's see. I'm trying to figure out what was the start of the session used. Finished the battle. There was some chatting. You went to see the original or the real. What's the guy's name? The mage.
Clifford of Stolington.
Clifford, yes, and then they got sent to another world, I believe.
Yeah.
That's quite an interesting twist on the whole plot. I did not see that one coming. I have to be honest. That was straight from the bushes, as they say. That was interesting, but yeah, it was fun. Also, I really want to see Mrs. Sick a little more. She seemed to have fun, and I hope we can see a little bit more of her character.
We got at least one more session with her, which is a good thing.
Excellent. And
I didn't expect her to start worshipping Clifford on the spot. That was great.
Yeah. That was actually, but that's one of the cool things about the game, that you get the crazy idea, you go with it.
Yep.
Excellent show. That's usually how it works. Yeah.
Yeah,
it was interesting.
Yeah, and what I thought was great, at least from my perspective as the DM, is that like towards the end there, when they realized how kind of clinically insane Clifford was, they kind of were starting to back out a little bit, and he's just like, "Nah, you're gone."
Yeah. Yeah, it's usually when it's too late, people start to realize, oh, fuck.
Yeah. I'm really excited because technically, Disco's still in Akkala. Technically. Because they're worlds he created that are in these crystal balls. So, technically...
Yeah, it is in the world, with a world within a world.
Yes.
That is true.
Kind of like, was it the end of Men in Black 1 or 2? I can't remember which one. Where, oh no, I think both of them had a similar ending. One of them where you go and open a locker, and then there's like this whole world in there. And there's another one where you got the marble, which is just another little universe.
Yeah.
The aliens are playing a big game of marbles. It's like an Inception level of world within a world. But yeah, I came up with, not that anybody asked, but I came up with this whole concept and character when my home group was playing. I might have mentioned it in the last Cold Hard chat I did, or I might have mentioned it during the session. But my home group, Josh, Tyler, it was just Tyler and Alicia. Josh hadn't joined at that time, and the other player we had at the time wasn't available, so we did a one-shot. And at the time, I wasn't setting all my one-shots in Akkala. Like, it was still very early on in my world building. So I said, hey, you guys want to do a one-shot where you play evil characters? Yeah, sure. So it wasn't the main game, so I like to just let them do whatever and have fun. So I gave one of them a luck blade, which lets you cast Wish 3 times, and I gave the other one a Ring of 3 Wishes. Basically, it's here, go sow chaos across the world. And so they used a couple wishes to get themselves out of a jam, but in the process triggered a butterfly effect that rewrote history to where one of them, instead of being an evil thief, they were both thieves, but they triggered a butterfly effect that made it so Alicia's character turned out to be a queen, and Tyler's character turned out to be a failed thief and was just some poor person. So they completely ruined their characters' lives by trying to get whatever they wanted. And then the next session, we actually did another one. It was a couple months later. I'm like, hey, you guys want to do a part 2 of that one shot we did? They were trying to kind of like see if they could trigger each other's memories from the other timeline, so to speak. And they did, and they were still using they with the butterfly effect. They didn't have the luck blade and the Ring of 3 Wishes anymore. And I told them where they came from. They had stolen them off of some guy some ranger in the woods. So they decided, well, we're going to go track him down, and we're going to use the wishes to restore the world to the way it was. Well, they did. They found him. They managed to sneak up on him, so he didn't have a chance to wish them away. Killed him, stole the items, and tried wishing their world back the way it was. This channel, Pancake of Destiny says, this channel reminds me of my best D&D character, extremely OP elf wizard with schizophrenia, changing personality, and able to fight from good to evil was awesome. That does sound awesome. But yeah, they were using Wish to try and put their world back the way it was. And they did, but in the process, all this messing with reality and changing the way things were started messing with the fabric of reality. It created a bunch of singularities in all the different locations they had cast Wish, and the universe started collapsing down on itself. And at this point, they had no idea that this was in any way connected to Akala. So I described the universe collapsing all around them, and as it collapsed on them, they black out and they wake up on the floor of this cabin, surrounded by these shelves with these crystal balls, and one of them is shattered. And it was Clifford Stolington's cabin. And when
they were from one of the worlds he had made, and when the world broke, they came. That was pretty cool, actually. And they didn't know about it since they were. Yeah, I can see that being like, what the fuck? Oh, right, sort of.
And
that sounds actually pretty cool. Did they figure it out?
When he showed up and started talking to him, he after figuring out what happened and getting really excited, he takes him outside the cabin and says, "Welcome to the world of Akala." And they lost their minds. It was awesome.
That was pretty well written, actually. Oh man, that's nice.
Yeah, it was. And why I tied all this in here about I want to say it's probably a month or so. It was very shortly after we started. It was a couple sessions after we started playing Globers and Goblins. Craig had messaged me and said, "Hey, is there any chance we can get a flat world to play in, like a flat world of our own to play in?" I said, "Spoilers," because I had been thinking about taking them to Clifford and sending them off to a world that was flat. I had been thinking about that, and when he asked me, I'm like, "Yeah, okay, that's what I'll do." And that was last September or October. And I figured eventually we'll get there. And now we are.
I know. I really know this. We will get there eventually. Oh my god, that's so fun to have your plans for the campaign, and then eventually we will do this. When everything else is done.
With D&D, I've learned that slow burn ideas are some of the best.
Yeah, they are indeed.
Especially with my home campaign now on April, May, June, 3 years and 3 months. I'm this is like the end game. We have 2 sessions left, and that we're done.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned before, I homebrewed levels after level 20 for them. Just because they wanted to keep going. But there are ideas I came up with 2 years ago that I'm just now implementing. So, and
you have managed to, hone them to their perfection and maybe drop a little hints on the way. Yep. Stuff that they have had happen like a year ago is somehow tied into this. Yeah. That's so awesome.
Like they're dealing with aberrations like mind flayers, beholders, things like that.
Yeah.
I never included aberrations in my home game. The entire 2.5, almost 3 years of the main campaign. I consider what they're doing now the epilogue, because the main campaign they went and fought. They eventually fought Lolth and killed her. But the whole time, I never mentioned aberrations. I never mentioned the language deep speech. I made a point not to include any type of creature that was an aberration, unless I reskinned it in some way to be something else.
Yeah.
I made a conscious point out because I decided very early on that I was eventually going to introduce them in some form, but not yet. And there were even a couple times where if we were doing like one-shots set in the world, I would say you can do this, but you can't pick deep speech as a language. Or there are spells that let you summon, like let you summon like, okay, you can pick. Like one of my players said, yeah, I want to get some summoning spells. I'm like, all right, well, I'll add these spells to the sorcerer list or whatever, but not Aberrant Spirit. They never asked me why. They never said, well, why can't I do Aberrant Spirit? Why can't I pick deep? They never asked me why. I was very surprised. But I think there may be 2 or 3 occasions where I did that. And they never asked me why. And then I want to say, not this past summer, maybe the summer before that. It was a long-ass time ago. It was during the part 2, like the second act of the campaign. This turned into a chat not so much about last session, but about just pretty much everything.
Yeah, but that's World of Akala for you.
Woo, nice plug.
Thank you.
They were in the Shadowfell, the Plane of Shadow. The entire second part of the campaign, which in real life took like, let's say 9 months. Like it was all set in the Shadowfell. They were in some little town, and one of my players wanted to see if there was a shop. I'm like, okay, yeah, there's the shop where you can buy stuff. And he said, well, do they have any gems? And I'm improvising because I didn't intend for there to be a shop or anything there. He doesn't sell gems, but he says he's got this one in the back and a chest you can look at and you can buy. Says he dug it up on the side of the road somewhere. And I'll do this. I'll just throw something random at the players if they're looking for something. And then I'll come up with what it does. Because that's fun for me, because if I don't even know what something does, I get to look forward to how they react when I figure it out. So it's fun for both of us. So he bought a sapphire off of this guy. And so I started coming up with what this sapphire could do. And I told them I told Tyler, his character, whenever he held the sapphire, because he said he was going to study it. And I said, well, you get this otherworldly feeling from it. I didn't give him much more detail than that. And he said he wanted to meditate with it. I said, okay. If you're meditating with it, you take 2d4 psychic damage. I can't remember how much damage it was. Yeah. You feel a sharp pain in your head and you take 2d4 psychic damage. Of course, because he's a player in a D&D campaign, he doesn't take the hint, and he keeps meditating with it. He even asks Alicia's character, hey, this just happened, you try this. And of course, she's a player in a D&D campaign, so she tries it. And each time they try it, they take more and more psychic damage. But he keeps trying. He's like, I want to figure this out. So he keeps studying, keeps meditating with it, and that otherworldly feeling keeps getting stronger. And one time I tell him he gets this vision of a giant eyeball. And he hears the word in his head, stop. And then he takes a massive amount of psychic damage.
Okay.
And he finally stopped. I had him make an intelligence saving throw, and I told him he felt a little tickle on the back of his neck. Didn't give him any more details than that. Felt a little tickle on the back of his neck. He eventually tried destroying it. He goes to I think he had one of the other players try to smash it because he was going to take his big-ass sword with its broadside and just try and smash it. I said when he goes to smash it, you jump in front of it and grab it. Like, I don't give him a choice. I just tell him, out of your control, you do this, and this happens. He was so confused. He's like, okay, I'm just going to throw it on the ground and leave it. I'm like, nope, you go back and get it. Like, this thing was controlling his mind. Yeah. I didn't tell him why. He eventually just kind of gave up and left it in his bag. And about a year in real life went by. They'd beaten Lolth. And I told that they were in the plane of Fairy. They were in the Feywild for a bit. And I told them after they got back from the Feywild, I said, you didn't realize until just now, but you have not seen the sapphire in your bag since you were in the Feywild. Like, his mind completely blanked it out. He was really confused. So, 10 years later, because I did a time skip after they beat Lolth, 10 years later, they were having this celebration, remembering basically celebrating the 10-year anniversary when they defeated Lolth. Everybody who's anybody is in the Plane of Fairy for the celebration. Everybody they've met along the way, all their friends, all of their allies for the celebration. And Tyler and Alicia's characters had a son. And I just made it so because magic, blah, blah, blah. Basically, the son had matured to the age of an adult in 10 years.
Few visits to the Feywild, that's how it works.
Pretty much, yeah. And granted, he's a half-moon elf. She's a centaur. They're not really supposed to be able to produce offspring, but again, because magic, they have a half. They have a half elf.
Is he a bard? I'm getting a feeling he's a bard.
No, she is.
Okay, well that also works. I was sort of expecting a bard to be here somewhere with this combination.
She's a bard.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
But their son, he's just reached adulthood.
Yep.
Comes up to them, during the celebration and says, "Mom, Dad, I found this sapphire." And then I say, your son just freezes in place. Doesn't move. The sapphire flies out of his hand up into the sky and turns into this blue portal. And these creatures start coming through the portal. It was beholders. It was mind flayers. It was aboleths. This sapphire was a link to the far realm. And Tyler's character unwittingly basically gave them an invitation to come.
Oh. So, whoops.
Yep, whoops. I don't remember the point of this story when I started. I kind of just got lost in the story. If anybody remembers the point I was trying to make when I started, feel free to remind me.
You were talking about how you like the slow cook plots and how you plan stuff a long time in the head.
Yes. I decided that this, the aberrations, this whole thing, I decided that about a year and a half before it actually happened. And I started did the thing with the sapphire and eventually just stopped. Like, he gave up on trying to figure out what the sapphire was for. And I didn't give him any more information. I didn't say, hey, I didn't say, the sapphire's speaking to you. I did nothing. I just left it. Like, because I wanted him to either forget about it like he did, or leave it on him to maybe find another way to get rid of it or to figure out what's going on with it. I didn't want to railroad it. I wanted to see what happened, and he just ignored it, and it fell right in my lap. The worst part of this for them was that the leader of these aberrations used their son as a host, and has basically possessed him, and their possessed son is now the big bad.
Ooh, plot twist.
Yeah, and then I ended the session. I ended the session by having their son's voice change into like a deeper tone and say, "Thank you for the host" or something like that. And he disappears, and that's where the session ends. And the next session I picked up. I didn't pick up right from there. I picked up with them stuck in a situation that was kind of like the Matrix crossed with Groundhog Day. They were in this simulated world, but it kept restarting every time they got somewhere, trying to figure out what it was, and it was pissing them off. Every time they got somewhere, and it was so much fun. I set out to screw with their heads, and it was exactly what I did.
Did they get out of there yet?
Yeah, they got out of there a lot quicker than it. They concocted a plan. Holy crap! They got out of there so much faster than I thought they would. The way I had done this was, it wasn't like a simulation, like, it wasn't an illusion. It wasn't like these aberrations had, created this, like almost like a mindscape, like an actual mirror world that they sent their consciousness to. Yeah. But it was still on the same plane of existence. They were in the Feywild. So spells that talked about different planes of existence were going to work really weird. But there's one spell that I didn't know about. A spell called Dream of the Blue Veil. And it came with one of the expansions. It might have been Tasha's, or it might have been an earlier expansion. I can't remember. But it lets you get a vision of another world. And in the context of D&D, you've got Faerun, so like the Forgotten Realms, you've got like Greyhawk and whatever the planet is in Greyhawk. Basically, the different campaign settings for D&D, that's the whole point of the spell, is to let you see into a different world of D&D and eventually teleport there. It's a really cool spell. Tyler decided to use Wish to cast... Oh, I think it's a 9th level spell. But I was giving them 10th level spell slots because we were doing levels beyond 20. And so he used a 10th level Wish to cast Dream of the Blue Veil as a 9th level spell. But he cast that, and I'm thinking, okay, this is weird, because technically they're in a different world, even though they're on the same plane of existence. So this should work. So I let them from this Mindscape world. Pancake of Destiny says there's nothing better than an evil DM. I let them see from this Mindscape world back into the real world, so they saw their unconscious bodies on these tables with psychic energy being siphoned out of them by the aberrations. And if you stick with the spell long enough, it lets you teleport there. I don't have a way to counter this, because the spell doesn't say anything about like you being physically, like they can't tell that you're doing it. Like from what I remember, and I don't want to just be that DM that says no. Like, he came up with a clever way to get out of it.
Yeah, of course. You reward this kind of thinking and ingenuity. That's always the way.
So
that was actually pretty interesting.
Yeah. So what I thought about kind of screwing with them and having their consciousness manifest in like a spiritual form separate from their bodies, and then them have to figure that out, but that was too convoluted. I just had their their consciousness appear, and then their bodies just kind of like teleport and merge, so they weren't on the tables anymore. He came up with a clever way to get out of it. I might as well get them out of the situation they're stuck in too, instead of just put them right back in it and have them do it all over again. It was really cool. And then they teleported and got the fuck out of there. And it was, because what I wanted to do was, we were going to do level 21 to level 30, and I was just going to have them level up once every session. Insane to do that, because at this point, level progression should take forever, but at this point, we were just having fun with it, and I was giving them epic level abilities so they could just be overpowered, and we were just having fun with it. So that meant we were going to do 10 sessions, and that was it. 10 sessions and we're done. Because if we, progress like normal, this is going to take another year and a half. And I don't have enough story for a year and a half. So we got 10 sessions to do this in. And they got out of that in like 4. I'm like, okay, I'm going to leave this up to you guys. You can either go fight the bad guy now, or you can let me railroad you whenever you try to fight him, so we can keep going to level 30. They're like, we want to get to 30, so go ahead and railroad us.
So some detours on the way, and then level 30, and then the big bad evil guy.
Yeah, so the first thing I did to give him like a roadblock was basically I had this building that they had been, the aberrations had been keeping them in. I had the building, and all the aberrations disappeared. And I gave him no way to track them. Like, hey, you wanted a roadblock? There's your roadblock. Now go find them.
That works. So, did they finish the campaign now, or is it two? Did you say
2 sessions left? Got one tonight and one next week.
Ah, nice.
Yeah. It's weird.
Is anybody gonna survive the final encounter?
I don't know.
No spoilers.
I honestly don't know. I didn't think anybody was I thought at least one of them was going to die when they fought Lolth, but I played it wrong. I was playing Lolth.
Yeah.
See, in my world, Lolth had a son.
Yep.
Now, see this is big. I'm gonna come back on this Cold Hard chat and eventually use it for one of my campaign diaries. When my best friend Josh, when he came into the campaign early on, because he didn't start with us, I asked him what kind of character he wanted to play. He said, I kind of want to play Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy VII. Now, normally when someone just says, well, yeah, I just want to play Cloud in Final Fantasy VII, my first instinct is like, no, do something original, but I mean, you want to just have fun. I'm like, okay, I'll create Cloud for you. I built an Eldritch Knight fighter, a variant human Eldritch Knight, and I had never played Final Fantasy VII, but I hopped onto the Final Fantasy wiki, looked up everything I could about Cloud and all his different abilities and stuff, and I built Cloud in D&D. And he said it was perfect. So, okay, that works. And so I kind of incorporated some elements of the game into it too. And one of them was like a My World version of Sephiroth. I named him Kura Sutoru, which is like, I took some sort of inspiration. Like I kind of, there's a whole lot here. Anyway, that's for a campaign diary for another day. But he was the son of Lolth. Kind of like how in Final Fantasy VII, Sephiroth thought he was the son of Jenova.
I do not know the franchise at all.
Okay,
really, so.
that's a guy who doesn't play Final
knows.
Fantasy trying to remember characters from Final Fantasy VII.
Somebody in the chat knows. They will tell you.
I'm pretty sure, I'm like 99% sure it's Jenova. He ended up not being Jenova's son. But in my world, he definitely was Lolth's son. Like I told Josh, I'm like, because he got all cocky, like, yeah, I know the Final Fantasy VII game. If you're gonna base my character story off of that, I'm gonna know what's coming. I'm like, no, you're not. Like, I'm gonna change shit. You're not gonna see it coming. That was one of the things I changed. He actually was. Rick Schofield said, "Good job, it's Jenova." It's been a while since I looked it up. I almost said Jehovah, and then I'm like, no, it's an N. It's not an H. It's Jenova. Lost my train of thought. Oh, so yeah, he was the son of Lolth, the Spider Queen. But my version of the the Mako energy from Final Fantasy games was direct exposure to the weave, which is what magic comes from in D&D.
Yeah.
But the I'd also incorporated Dragon's Blood as part of how that worked, just as kind of a little twist. But not just any Dragon Blood, Steel Dragon Blood. Steel Dragons are from 3.5, I think. 3.5 edition. I picked a dragon that they would never expect. Like Steel Dragon, holy crap, because they're not in 5e. So when he eventually became like this mini boss, I homebrewed like this cross between a Steel Dragon and a spider monster, and it was amazing. And I created like this 3-stage battle with him to basically mirror how Final Fantasy VII did it. And Josh had the best time of his life. It was great. Anyway, what's the point I'm trying to make here?
You played Lolth wrong because
they killed her son. And she was pissed. So instead of trying to strategize and fight well to defeat all three of them, she went right for Josh's character and focused on him and tried to kill him. And I downed him 3 times, and each time his party mates healed him and brought him back up. And then I killed him. But I had baked in a way, because they're fighting a god, I wanted to bake in a way for them to avoid death if possible. Basically, they could trade a piece of their soul to the god of death to come back to life. A god of death, which, this is going to pop up in another campaign diary, a god of death, which they are responsible for becoming a god, and had originally been a villain who they had allied with. That's a whole campaign diary episode in and of itself. All based.
I believe so.
that's based on the Forgotten Realms character of Bane, the god of tyranny. He did not become the god of tyranny in my world. There's a lot to unpack there, but Josh died, and then he told Bane, like, yeah, no, I'm fine. I want to go back and fight. You can have part of my soul. He came back, and they'd taken a little bit of Lol's health. I gave her like 600 HP, and with regeneration and resistance to like everything. They'd taken a little bit. She was at 500 something HP. And because at this point I'd given them all like a bunch of overpowered shit individually, I had not considered how that overpowered shit could work together. I had put Lolth in close proximity to them. Instead of...
They figured out the magic combo strike that one-shotted him.
Yep.
Or her.
Yep.
Yeah.
I had...
Well, it is really, you do have to realize that combo strikes are a part of these games. So, like, well, I don't know Final Fantasy, but a lot of these Japanese games have these combo.
I had made a feat for Josh to use when he'd reached like level 17 or something. When he was a fighter, he was an Eldritch Knight, so he gets an action surge. When he got to level 17 and had 2 action surges, I made a feat that mimicked Cloud's basically finishing move from Final Fantasy called the Omni Slash, which is basically it's 12 attacks like in quick succession.
Yeah.
So what I did was I made a feat that he could use his bonus action to power up his sword because it's a magic sword, and then he could use his action and both action surges on the same turn, as long as they were all attacks and all with one weapon and focused on the same target.
Yeah.
So he could pull out.
Yeah.
So he could pull out 12 attacks on one target. So he couldn't spam it on 12 different targets. And he couldn't spam it as, 4 attacks, spell, and then spell. It had to be 12 attacks focused on one target. And he used it pretty well. I had given Tyler's character... I had toyed around with the idea of signature spells for the spellcasting characters, and the only one that really stuck with was Tyler's character. His signature spell was Shadow Blade, and I gave him... Shadow Blade, you create a blade out of shadow stuff.
Yeah.
Typically, if you throw the blade, it dissipates, and you can create a new one as bonus action as long as it's still in the duration of the spell. I gave him the ability to keep it solid, he could hand it to someone else. Like he could make a Shadow Blade and then he could give it to someone else to use.
Someone else, yeah.
And I had given Alicia's character, because she started out as a bard and eventually got into psionic psychic stuff. So I'd given her this aura that followed her around. Whenever she had this aura activated, there was like a light melody in the air of like a song. And within that 90-foot aura, any enemy who was in it had vulnerability to psychic damage. So if she used a spell that caused psychic damage, it would be twice as effective.
I can sort of see where this is going.
Yeah. Shadow Blade does psychic damage.
And it scales up, like, you cast it on a high level, I think it's like...
And
he 58 per strike or something.
In order for him to be able to keep it solid and give it to someone else, it had to be cast at 7th level at least.
Yeah. And then, if I remember correctly, if it's dim light or darkness, you have advantage to the attacks.
And it was dim light. It was dim light.
Yeah, obviously,
they weren't in the Shadowfell, but it was still dim light.
Yeah, Loth is not really known for a lot of luminosity.
So, right after Josh comes back to life, right after, the first thing he does, because it was his turn, the first thing he does, because I had down Tyler right before that. Alicia had like 5 hit points left. Tyler was down. And they were all right next to each other because Loth was so focused on, you killed my son, you're dead. Like, I wasn't having her fight strategically because I had a point to make. As soon as I had killed Josh, I was going to have her, but she's within this aura, where she's vulnerable to psychic damage. Josh picks up the Shadow Blade and uses his Omni Slash. 12 hits with a Shadow Blade that was dealing like 5d8 psychic damage on a hit, and he's got like a plus 12 to each hit, and he crit on like 4 of them.
Yeah, I mean, roughly.
This ridiculous overpowered combo killed her.
Yeah. But I mean, you have to admit, story-wise, that was an epic.
It was insane. It was absolutely epic. It was, oh man. I was floored because I thought the battle was going to go on a lot longer, but I was proud of them. I was excited, and it was so much fun.
Yeah. And if you think about it, story-wise, they actually all had to participate in it.
Exactly.
As a story itself, that's really cool.
It is. It's amazing.
That's cool.
It was incredible, and we were freaking out about it for probably a good 20-30 minutes, and we still had plenty of time left. And then I went into, they started off with the epilogue, and that's when I talked about how 10 years later, and then I did the thing with their son. So within maybe a half-hour span of time, they get the highest of highs, killing Lolth, and then I dropped them to the lowest of lows with their son getting possessed by an aberration.
Yeah, that works. That works.
Oh man.
Oh god.
Oh gosh, what time is it? Oh wow, I've been talking. Yeah, I really need to do my campaign diaries.
No, but you probably should. I mean, this is interesting stuff, and
there's a lot more.
I can believe, because every long campaign has a lot of interesting stuff in it. So, and also you can add in the tidbits about Akalan. The everything that works around the world and the games you run. So they can sort of get a little more. People who watch them can get a little more information about them.
Yeah,
that would be really interesting.
And I know some of the players were really interested in Maria, the character that crossed over, that kind of helped them out, helped them prove they were telling the truth. And there's a lot involving her in my home game too, because she's one of the major NPCs. I think if anybody enjoyed her one-off appearance in Ice Cold Freedom, they would enjoy hearing more about her too.
Yeah. She's one of those plants that I can sort of see that, okay, you're going to run into her later. Oh, that's her. Yeah, sort of like a callback to the earlier parts of campaign. So I'm really looking forward to those things.
I'm gonna get them done.
I just have to ask, actually, one thing. Do you want to spoil anybody anything about the world the guys are going into? The Discus? Do you want to spoil anything about that? Other than it's loosely based on a certain disc-shaped world by a pretty famous author?
I've already lost my nerd card a long time ago, but I'm probably going to lose it even more here. I don't know much about Discworld. I've never read the books.
Man.
There's a very extensive wiki site on fandom about it. I'm definitely going to take some inspiration from it, but I'm also obviously going to put my twist on it.
If I may make a suggestion, I would definitely love to see the Cutting My Own Throat Dibbler, the guy who sells everything in Ankh-Morpork. You might want to. Cutting My Own Throat Dibbler, I think, is the English name. He's a guy who was always saying, like, I'm cutting my own throat here, but this is a good offer or some stuff like that.
Oh my god.
So they refer to him as cutting my own throat nibbler.
Oh boy.
That would be interesting to see.
What
Minor character, but
yeah. What I will say, and this isn't like a spoiler, but what I will say about Discos, it's a very strange world.
Yeah, I'm sort of expecting that if you're basing it on Discworld, because that is.
Yeah. Cut Me Own Dibbler.
I think it's. Let me double check what the name is.
Cut Me Own Throat Dibbler.
Yeah, I've read them in Finnish partly, so.
His last name is Dibbler. Cut Me Own Throat Dibbler. Oh gosh.
CMOT.
I'll sell it for less. I'll sell it for less, and that's cutting me own throat. Oh gosh. Yeah. Oh boy. Okay. It's their version of "You're killing me, Smalls." But yeah, it's going to be very strange, peculiar world. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'll spoil.
At least they have one. They have one guide, so to say. I mean, if what was Mrs. Six character's name? I don't remember.
Rokov. Yeah.
Yeah, if he's from that world, then.
Well, it depends. Is he from the part of the world that they're going to show up in? Is the question. Because if he's from the other edge of the disc, is he going to know?
That's true. That's true.
I will spoil one thing.
Just be aware. I want to give one warning.
Yeah.
Don't put them too close to the edge, because Rincewind is going to jump off. I'm just making a prediction here, and you know that's going to happen.
Yes, he totally would. What? Is that a turtle down there? I want to eat that.
Pretty much, yeah, I can see that going.
Sorry, dragon turtle. Don't want to get any, copyright bullshit. It's a dragon turtle, and it's Tarrasque's. It's completely different.
Rincewind is not one known for his proficiency in nature skill, so he doesn't know any better.
I will say one spoiler, especially because I know there's probably people who very much are enjoying the world it's set in. At least I hope there are. And one of the main hooks of this campaign is the place it's set in. They're going to be in Discos for a while, but it's not like the new setting for the campaign.
Yeah, I understand. It's the current roadblock to get back.
Yes. So, in case anybody is wondering about that, Discos is not the new setting for this campaign. It's still a new world, and they are going to go back one way or another.
Maybe they get help from tall, bold gentleman with very strong blue eyes. Very thin guy. You should probably find him in the wikis. But yeah.
Alright. I'm going to cut this off. I've been going for an hour. I got to make dinner before my home game. Thank you very much, Timo, for joining me and helping me figure out if I can play a video properly, because that's
no problem. Sorry for hijacking your show.
Hey, do not apologize. You got me talking for how long? Yeah, definitely don't apologize. I appreciate having me on.
Yeah, no problem. And when is the next game scheduled? Is it next week?
Yes, next week. I put the wrong date up. When I rescheduled the stream, I put the wrong date up. I had it for a day, but it's next Monday.
Okay. Yes. Excellent. So, as personal question, have you considered asking Team Skeptic to visit the game?
When this all first started, Craig invited him to join, but he never did. So, I don't know if that answers your question or not.
Yeah, I was just wondering if if he's interested as a visitor. Who knows?
I don't know.
Maybe he's not interested, but would be fun to see him. He's a cool dude.
All right. Well, everybody watching, thank you for coming. Whether you're live or watching after the fact, thank you.
Remember to click the like button,
Yes, like the like
subscribe,
button, subscribe, do all the stuff. Share us
donate all the
around.
money, donate all your money
Donate
to
all your
that.
Thanks,
The
team.
usual stuff.
Share us around, please. Help us. Oh, we are. I meant to say this at the top, and I forgot. We are. Hold on. Let me get an updated count so I'm not wrong. We are 6 subscribers away from 400.
Nice.
6 subscribers away from 400. So yeah, share us around. Help us hit the 400 mark.
Yeah, and throw the dwarf.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.